Well, good morning, everybody. Hello. Hey, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. You are in our Stitchuation room. This is a Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central virtual stitching retreat where you hang out in here with me and follow me on my sewing journey. And I hope I can inspire you to put something under the needle. Quilting and machine embroidery is usually what's happening in here, not a whole lot of garments. And I have a dog. Hold on a second. Oh, my goodness. I just got back last week. I was at a Lisa Shaw in Brilliance class for a couple of modules. We'll talk about that. There's Miss Frito. Oh, she's a good girl. Yes. Hi, baby. You went down there and got to see everybody, didn't you? You ready for that? There you go. Good. Yeah. Keith brought Frito down to the hotel to pick me up. And so everybody got to come out and say hi, or she went in and said hi. There you go. Want to brush your teeth? Here, let me move that for you. There you go. And she got her picture made. She was very happy. She was very happy. Oh, my goodness. Okay. What happened with Dave's PQ 1600? Yeah, she was on a road trip this weekend. That's right, Dave. We have a lot of folks that pop in here in the chat. And if you are brand new, please pop in and say hi in the chat or even below in a comment if you're watching on replay. And thank you for doing that. We have a welcoming committee wandering around, and their job is to make sure that you know you're welcome, all skill levels and all of that. So, oh my goodness. We've got so much going on and very, very busy here. We had a heck of a storm last night. The first bright lightning hit me in the eyes through the window and woke me up. And I immediately got out of bed and unplugged everything. All the computers, printers, anything with a brain, anything that has a brain had to be unplugged. We don't have very stable power where I am out here in the boondocks. And well, it's pretty, not the boonies anymore. The San Antonio is coming my way, but anyway, and definitely all of the machines. So, okay. So anyway, yeah, I was at Lisa Shaw's in Brilliance training in San Antonio. Thursday, we did the essentials. And if you're new, Brilliance is a embroidery software that works with all home embroidery machines. And so a lot of you have it, and I announced it, and a lot of folks went. And Debbie was there, Debbie White. She's in the chat here a lot. And she took a lot of pictures, which I'm glad for, because I was so immersed in the training, I didn't even think about it. So I'll show you guys some pictures here in a little bit. But so we were down there. So Thursday was essentials. And I always say Brilliance is the Liberty Mutual of embroidery software. You only pay for what you need. So you didn't have to attend all 3 classes if you didn't have to attend a class if you didn't have that module. So I have all the modules just about. And so I went to essentials, which was on Thursday, and I learned a lot, worth the money. And then Friday was enthusiast, and that was great. And Saturday was, and then Friday night we had a 2.5 hour. What Lisa does is she has you create a problem that's got you stumped, and you can send her the working file and a picture of your stitch out, or you could bring your stitch out. I didn't stitch mine out because I knew, but anyway, so did that. And then Saturday was Stitch Artist, and she gears that. I got a lot of emails of people asking me, I don't have Stitch Artist 3, or I'm a beginner. I do have it or whatever, but I'm a beginner. Should I attend? There's one coming near me. She gears it for Stitch Artist 1. So if you have 2 and 3, she'll mention those occasionally and say, if you have 2 or 3, this is how you do it. Or she'll do it in 2 or 3 and then say, if you have 1 or if whatever, if you have 2, this is how you would do it, type thing. So very, very good training. well worth it. If you have an opportunity to go, I highly recommend that you do that. If you can swing it, do it, because it's worth every penny. I mean, there's no yapping in the beginning of the class. You know how you're waiting for people to get started. Sometimes you go to those classes. She starts off right at 9 a.m. and you're off and running. So it goes, the training is so good that the days just fly by. You look up and it's lunchtime, and she had lunch delivered there from Panera, which was really nice. But so if you ever have a chance, I highly, highly recommend that. Absolutely. Even if and that stitch artist class is geared for beginners. So she does have a couple of videos that you have to watch ahead of time for homework, so that you have a clue of where the buttons are and what each part of the screen is. But once you have that, you'll be good. So I'm sure everybody loved it. Hopping down the bunny trail with your brother, Valentina, good for you. Yes, it will. So Valentina, so hopping down the bunny trail is a Kimberbell design. I happen to have it in my little hand right here. And all Kimberbell designs are set up for 5x7 machines. So your 1700E will handle it. Yes. That's a thing that I did not know when I started my embroidery journey. And I don't know if you guys noticed on the thumbnail or the title of the video, the Prodigal machine has returned. So on our Friday night session, a young lady was there and she said, I'm stitching on a Brother PE 770. And that machine has to be, I don't know how old, 12, 15 years. Do you take an embroidery machine or is your computer sufficient? Right. So Shirley, just the computer. Just take your laptop. You don't need an embroidery machine at all. There is no stitching in her classes, none. So anyway, this lady said, well, I'm stitching on a PE 770, and that's a really old Brother embroidery machine. And it's a flatbed, and it single needle, obviously, and it doesn't even cut jump stitches. And the largest hoop size is a 5x7. And then Lisa said, that's the machine I started on too. And I thought, oh, and it's been 10 years. And so my husband gave me that machine for Christmas 13 years ago. I think 13 or 14 years ago. And he asked me first, because it was expensive at the time. It was a whole $400 at the time. And he said, do you, if I get you an embroidery machine, would you use it? And I thought, well, sure, because I'm just thinking about stitching a name on a pocket or something. I didn't know. I was doing garment sewing. And then I got it for Christmas and I opened it up and I was all, ooh, and that's when I started to dip my toe into the world of machine embroidery. I got introduced to Dime, which is Designs and Machine Embroidery, and just went to town. I had no clue whatsoever about I had no clue. Okay. I had gone to what was then Creative Sewing Center in San Antonio, and they had a design by Lunchbox Quilts, and it was called, I think it was called Meow, or anyway, it was the one that she makes with a bunch of cats. And I said, oh, my mother's a cat lady. She would love this. Let me get it. And it was expensive. The USB was $65 or something like that. So I got it, and I got it home, and I plugged it into my my machine, and I couldn't see half the designs. And I was like, well, what's wrong with the USB? There's nowhere in the instruction manual, nowhere does it tell you that 5x7 is the largest design that you can use. I think they think that's intuitive. I don't know. But you can and the machine won't allow you to see designs that are larger than your largest hoop. And that's to protect the machine so it doesn't go banging the hoop into the side. And so that started me on, well, can I resize these? And y'all, I went down that rabbit hole for years, but I didn't even do that until I had had the machine for 3 years. I stitched out a little name, didn't know what I was doing, decided that enough is enough. And it sat there in my sewing room for a very, very long time untouched. And so then I got my Quattro, which had 2 upgrades in it, and it thought it was a dream machine. So it had the camera activated. And then I was kind of off to the races. Okay. So that Quattro was 5 years into my embroidery journey. And I still have that machine. It's down at the coast. And then I never a minute. There we go. I didn't touch anything. It's a lag on internet. Sorry. So it was just taking up space, and I decided to sell it. So there was a guy that I worked with, his wife wanted an embroidery machine, and I sold it to her. And at the time I sold it for $500. So I thought, well, didn't make enough money to pay back all the thread and all the goodies I'd bought, but I sold it to her for 500. This was 9-10 years ago, because I picked it up yesterday. They were in their new house and they'd been there for 8 years, and she bought it at their old house. Anyway, so when the lady in the class said, I'm sewing on a PE 770, and y'all, I've always regretted selling that machine, always. And would I use it? No, that's not the point. But it's where my journey started. And so it's very sentimental to me. And so I text her that night and I said, hey, you wouldn't by chance still have that brother machine, would you? And she said, yeah, she did. But she hadn't used it since she'd been in the new house. So it hasn't even been turned on in 8 years. She said by the time the last thing she made, she had a lot of trouble with it and it wasn't working well. And I said, that's okay. I'll take it. I'm thinking, I'm going to, now that I know what I know, I'm going to go ahead and piddle with it and see if I can't get it humming along. Right. So I went over yesterday and picked it up for what I paid for it and brought her home. And I'll show you guys the Brother PE 770. Let me turn the camera. She's sitting right here. Let me turn around. There we go. There she is. And there's a little bag of accessories that I sent right along with her. I even had a magnetic hoop. See that white hoop? That's a magnetic hoop from Dime. But there it is, the Brother PE 770. Just as cute as she can be. She was still at her little dust cover and all that. So very, very happy to get her home. And it is an embroidery only machine. If a Brother machine has an E in the, if a Brother machine has an E in the nomenclature, it's embroidery only for the most part, I think. There's a method behind the madness of their numbering. And so first thing I did was went in and looked at the bobbin case, looked fairly clean, didn't have a lot in it at all. And it had one of those original, they're kind of a matte colored, matte tech looking bobbin. I don't use those. I popped in a 70 weight pre-wound from Dime. And the needle was kind of, it has that round hole on the hopping foot. The needle was right next to the foot. And so I just adjusted the foot a little bit so the needle was more center. Got that foot set up like that. And I think the Q is for quilt. PQ? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it is a rocket. You're right. Q is for quilting, Dave. Straight stitch machines are designed for quilting. Now the PE 800s, Sherry says she started with the PE 800, and the only difference between the 770 and the 800, I think, was a color screen. This has the old black and white screen. So I just did minor little adjustments. I put in a 70 weight bobbin thread and I adjusted the foot and put in a 9014 needle. And you guys, yesterday, I haven't even taken it out of the hoop yet. I stitched the center panel for the hopping down the bunny trail, and she did absolutely beautiful. Just beautiful. And y'all, I never stitched anything this nice on that PE 770, but now I know what I know. So look at the quality of the stitching. It's beautiful. It turned out just gorgeous. Isn't that nice? And surprise. Isn't that cute? But the satin stitching turned out just lovely. Okay. Just lovely. Very happy with it. Okay. Thank you all. It did turn out nice. I'm so proud of you. I was so proud of her. And I thought it was just fantastic. I could fiddle with the tension just a tiny bit on those stitches that are on the back, the ones that have the puffy foam that went over the foam, this one and the mushroom caps. I don't see any bobbin thread. And then like on the door frame, there's a tiny line of bobbin thread. So I could loosen up that bobbin tension just a tiny bit. I didn't do a test stitch or anything. I was like, I'm going to get this done. I was off to the races. Now on this one, because the rest of the panels I did on my 10 needle, I still wanted to put the background quilting on it. So the background quilting requires at least a 6x10 hoop. So I went ahead and stitched the background quilting on my 10 needle, pull that off. Okay. So this piece right here, this poly mesh was hooped in the 10 needle. And then I wanted to test out, you know, the 5x7. And so I hooped another piece of poly mesh and then just floated this on top of it, lined it up like they said, and floated it on top. So I still got my background quilting effect. But wow, Brenda, I know Kimberbell is full of such fun embellishments. So the embellishments on this one and embellishments are usually not just quilting cotton or applique, the puffy foam. So it's got some 3D to it. I don't know if you can tell. And then the window is a felt to give it a soft glow for the light. And then the door, which is cute. So you stitch the door first in a 4x4 hoop with water soluble stabilizer. Okay. And I used Pellon's 541 wash and gone to do the door, and then got that done. And you don't cut this side of the door. You leave a little bit of extra fabric. And that way it lines up perfectly with, you know, you can line it up. And that way you have a door that opens and closes. How cute is that? It's just adorable. There's a button there's a ladybug button that goes on here too. So thank you, Betsy. She says it came out great. I'm very, very happy with it. So my little girl, she did a good job. I'm going to name her Baby because she is where it all started. So my baby machine is where it all started. And yeah, I told Keith, I said, you know, you bought that for me for Christmas and it's sentimental to me. So I'm so happy I did that. But anyway, so I was very pleased. I was so afraid she was going to say, no, I gave it to my neighbor or something like that. But I text her and said a new bobbin, realignment of the foot, and a new needle. And she was up and running. So very happy. Now, I'll probably put it up on a shelf and leave it be, right? As we do with our old machines. But I'm very happy too. I feel like, oh, she's home. She's looking around my new sewing room going, whoa, this ain't what I left. I don't remember this. Yeah, I know. It's my first embroidery machine. So She had a little rehoming, but she's back. But anyway, so if you have not yet seen and you're new, here is another panel from Helping Down. This is a bench pillow. And so what it is each one of the embroidery designs is a separate panel, and you trim these out. Okay. And then you sew them together. So the mushrooms in center, I need to take it out of the hoop. Mushrooms in center. There are the directional signs, and all of my fabric, I pre-cut it, and it has SF101 on the back. Little orphan Annie. Oh, Betsy, that's cute. Yeah, that's cute. Orphan Annie. That's adorable. I didn't orphan her. She went to a foster home. Here we go. There's the carrot. I don't have the fabric kit for this particular bundle. I'm using fabrics out of my stash. I did get the embellishment kit and the background quilting, but the fabric, I was like, you know what? I did have both machines going yesterday. Yes. So I could get them all going on. Y'all, I have 5 embroidery machines. I was like, I can't believe I have 5 after starting with the PE 770. And then this one has something that goes in the middle of it, I think. I'm pretty sure. I got to do something with this. Yes. It has a bunny. It has the fuzzy bunny and the flowers and the little buzzy trail. Are you able to snapplique on such an old machine? So absolutely, Elaine. Snapplique is what snapplique is just a process that allows you to change what was never an embroidery design. So I saw a post in our Facebook group that said she snappliqued this. That's not actually the correct terminology. She may have pre-cut her applique pieces on a cutting machine, which is fine, but that's not snapplique. Snapplique is there is no embroidery design. Embroidery designs came on this. So snapplique is the process of creating an embroidery design where there was none to start with. That's kind of the basic definition. So, but yes, you can. Anything that you can. And a neat way to think about that, if you've got embroidery, not pre-designed embroidery software. If you have pre-designed embroidery software, you purchased a design, whether it's from Juju or Sweet Pea or Kimberbell or Anita Good Design or wherever you happen to get it, it is not recommended that you resize those that much. Don't do it. They don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. And I told a lady last night on an email, I was pretty sure I was never going to be a digitizer. And now that I've taken my stitch artist class, I know for a fact, I'm sure of it, I will never be a digitizer. That is not my jam at all. If you have a paper applique pattern and you create the embroidery design from it, that is snapplique. But when you do that, you can resize that design by resizing the scan. You don't resize it in Embrilliance. You resize the scan that the Scan and Cut did and get it down to where it will fit in your 5x7 hoop there. Then you import it into Embrilliance, and then you do your work, the snapplique process that you do that with it, then create your cut files and cut them out. That's how that works. So can you snapplique with a 5x7? Absolutely. If you choose to do something like my chicken salad quilt, and you would resize that scanned image down to where it will fit in a 5x7, you'll just have a mini wall hanging quilt of chicken salad. It won't be that great big quilt because everything will fit in a 5x7. It can be done. Absolutely. Everything's just going to be smaller. Yeah. So you're desperate. You wanted to cut some pieces on your Scan and Cut, but you can't find the cable. Jeanette. Okay. So the cool thing about Brother for the most part. Not all the scan and cuts. My scan and cut, the power cord is the same as what's on that 770, but not all of them are like that. I understand Brother came out a while ago or something with a different cable. Amazon has them. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So very happy to have her home. Orphan Annie. That's cute. I love it. I love it. I might change her name. Lady wrote me. The age-old question, right? Now hold on a second here. She said, is there an order of operations? This is from Mary Lou. Is there an order of operations when it comes to Stitch Artist 3 Snapplique? Have a working understanding of how to do the steps, but wondering if there are absolute steps. Mary Lou, I'm glad you did that. That had my tech writer, Elaine, and I get our thinking caps on. And yeah, I would just watch the ghost video. It's the easiest way to do it. Except I just I create my SVG files now in Brilliance. Instead of cutting out the fabric right away before I send the design to Brilliance, I create the SVG files in Brilliance, and I have a video on how to do that as well. It's only 8 minutes long. So, okay. And then, all right. And then the other question I had is actually about quilting thread. She said, Charlene says, I had a conversation with a friend of mine about thread choices. This is strictly about thread used for piecing a quilt. She said she uses 100% cotton thread. I use whatever I have. I typically only buy Glide, which is 100% polyester. I was wondering if you could touch on this topic for an upcoming Stitchuation morning. So, just a couple schools, just a few thoughts on that. You are right and she is right. Okay. If that works for you, do it. You will find no mention of the quilt police in my world. All right. When you go to the Houston International Quilt Festival and you look at these quilts, there are some that are 100% cotton, and there are some that are done with metallics and poly threads, shiny stuff, matte stuff, woolly stuff. There is just threads. There are so many different kinds of threads. You need to use what works for you. Now, I don't use 40 weight embroidery thread like Glide or Isocord or whatever in piecing because of the sheen of that thread. That's the only reason I don't use that. 100% cotton thread will disintegrate over time, but that's going to be hundreds of years. Okay. 100% cotton thread is going to disintegrate, especially if it's washed a lot, just like t-shirts that are 100% cotton. You know how they get threadbare is what we call it. That can happen to a quilt. Your fabric is 100% cotton most of the time, if you're piecing like I do. But I use a poly matte thread. So I use Essential Pro. My granddaughter was here yesterday, Keith's daughter, and she popped a belt loop on her Ariat jeans, and she's like, I saw that and it was popped up and she had her shirt tucked in. I could see the belt loop sticking up. I said, you popped a belt loop. She goes, I know. She's 16, I know, happens. And I said, take your pants off. I'm going to fix that for you. I can't stand it. No member of my family is going to be running around looking like a hobo. Oh my gosh. So I used this thread to fix it so that the thread matched the gold in the Ariat jeans. Okay. This is a matte, and this is Essential Pro cone. This is from Connecting Threads. And I buy all of my quilting threads from them. This is a 5,000 meter cone, 3,300 yards. So it is polyester, but it's a matte. In the 100-year rule, this thread is going to hold that quilt together much better than the 100% cotton. But it doesn't matter. I'll be dead and gone and nobody cares. But the thing is that I just don't want the sheen to accidentally be seen in my seams. So that's just me. Okay. I was talking to Lauren from Bold Notion Quilting. She's an APQS dealer down in Florida. Lauren, she only uses Glide. Is it Glide or Isocord or something? I can't remember, when she long arms. So if a quilt is 100% cotton and the thread's 100% cotton, which she gets a lot of those tops, she prefers to use the Glide, first of all, because in the top and bottom, okay, she prefers that because, and I'm looking at my long arm, she prefers to do that because, one, the machine likes it. If I use 100% cotton thread in my PQ 1500 right here, okay, if I use 100% cotton thread in that, every time I hit the trim, the little scissor button to cut underneath, it unthreads the needle. It'll drive you crazy. I thought there was something wrong with it. I wanted to get it fixed. When I started using 100% poly, which is a stronger thread, my unthreading problem stopped. Okay. And I accidentally figured that out when I used a piece of embroidery thread, a 40 weight embroidery thread on here, and I was stitching something with it. And this was years ago. And when I hit the thread cutter, it didn't unthread, even though it was kind of slick, slippery, the embroidery thread. So you do everything, Becky. Makes your life easier. Scrapping like a lady. I like that. I do everything. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you cannot fix holes, y'all, in jeans. Don't fix holes in the jeans. They paid for them like that. But a popped belt loop, not in my world. So, oh, sweetie, I'll buy you some jeans with no holes. That's too funny, Vicky. Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, that's a great lesson there, Margie. She says, when I started quilting, I bought all the shades of Aurifil. And then as I watched the pros, they only use white, right? Because you really don't see it in your piecing. So is there a number for Embrilliance? You made a large order, which was a duplicate, sent an email, but no response. There's not a number for Embrilliance. Reach out to them on their contact. Don't send an email, but go into their contact us. And what you can do, I have heard of folks who bought a full version of like Stitch Artist 2 when they only should have bought the upgrade. If you didn't install it on your system, because they can tell when it's been activated. If you have not activated those serial numbers, they'll generally work out a refund thing for you. And they did for this lady, because they saw that she already had bought the upgrade. She forgot, and then she bought the full version. So they refunded her money for the full version because she had not installed it. So, yeah, the colors definitely have a place, and that's a really good one there. Farmhouse Quiltery only uses colors for when you're binding by machine and your thread will be seen. That's really the only reason to use colors, if your thread is going to be seen from the top. So all of those colors are Aurifil or Wonderfil or all of those colors of thread are great if you're going to use them like for quilting on individual blocks. Long armors will switch colors sometimes. So the world is your oyster when it comes to thread. So again, the short answer is you're both right. I prefer a poly for the strength. My machine prefers the poly. Use what you have. If you're happy with it, it will be fine as long as it holds the quilt together. Now, some of you are clutching your pearls, and that's okay. All right. There's a lot of other channels. If I just said some blasphemy, does the bobbin color match? So I change out my bobbin color on when I'm doing binding because I stitch in the ditch from the top. I want the bobbin color to match the fabric on the bottom. Okay. So, Hold on. I got to get a sip of coffee, y'all. We leave tomorrow for Canton, Texas for is there a color number on the jean thread that I showcased? This is not jean thread. This is not jean thread. If y'all need to stitch jean thread, go look at Walmart for some Coats and Clark. They have excellent threads specifically for jeans. They probably still have it at Hobby Lobby. Wherever they've got sewing stuff for you guys, go get jean thread. It's much thicker. This is designed for quilting. Okay. I could put this in an embroidery machine if I wanted, and it doesn't have a lot of lint, which I really like. This is called cocoa. The color of this is cocoa. It doesn't have a number, but that's the color. Will you please focus, focus, focus? No, it doesn't want to. It's looking at behind me. It's cocoa. Yeah. And that's what I was telling my granddaughter. I was like, you know, those really high-end jeans, because she's got to have cute jeans, right? 16. Those really high-end jeans are still cheaply made in China. They're still cheaply made. I used to repair zippers on all kinds of $300 blue jeans. And in order to get a zipper to look, I did it for years ago. I did it for our local dry cleaner. That's what I told her. If you can start doing this, girl, you'll have money in your pocket all the time. So I did it for the dry cleaner. And the trick is to use regular thread, super strong, to get that zipper in. Essential Pro is the name of the thread. Yes, Dawn, Essential Pro. I'll put a link to it below the video when we get done. This is a very strong thread. Okay. I'll put a link to it if you wouldn't mind. But the top threads are where the money comes in. And there's a trick to being able to get your repair to look like, what do they say, Serve Pro, like it never even happened. You want to be sure to get a super thick thread. You're going to use a ginormous needle with an eye large enough for that thread to go through. And then you're going to make it really, really long stitches, like 4 or 5 stupid, crazy long basting stitches. And you're going to take a picture of it before you take it apart and draw those lines on with a chalk marker, and then stitch the top stitching back in. And you're going to use, hers had 2 different colors of thread. It had this color, gold, and it had the white, kind of an off-white. So I know, $300 blue jeans. It's insane. It's insane. But you guys, there's a thing to that, believe it or not, because she shows goats. If you're going to professionally show an animal, you have to be dressed. And it's true. It's crazy. Those barrel racers, you're going to show an animal, whatever, you've got to be dressed. It's sometimes how you dress is the difference between whether your steer wins or somebody else's. It's crazy. So anyway, that's right. So Maureen says, I have some rayon and poly embroidery threads that are 20 years old that still work fine. That's absolutely right. They're stronger. They're longer lasting. They also don't fade with sunlight. You're not supposed to put your thread in the sun, but they also don't fade with sunlight the way cotton will, because it's a poly. It's made completely different. Anyway, didn't mean this to be about thread, but great question. If you guys have questions and you want them answered, I know Corey Yoder does this all the time, but so just, I'm happy to open that can of worms. Okay. So today my goal is to get the binding on for how to build a scarecrow. That's what I was really going to do with you guys today until I got my machine back and I wanted to. So my weekend stitching, did we go over this? That I finished this whole thing? I think we did. And I finished that one. So that's for Quilted Snowman. And then 2 more stars for Things Above. Working on that. Oh, Fat Quarter Shop, Kimberly did a video. They were talking about the getting ready. This is for Prairie Home. And she said, we're going to put out instructions each month. So the quilt starts in April of 2025 and it finishes in April of 2026. So each month they're going to put out a cutting guide for each of the blocks that have to be made. You still have to buy the book to see the dimensions, but you'll get a cutting guide of how many to cut for that month. Okay. Now, the book, I don't have it handy. It's over there. I got this together, but it wasn't for not taking a whole bunch of it apart. I cut way too many because my math was wrong on, I need to scale it down. So I just need one instead of a bunch. And there are, I'm trying to think. You've just got to pay attention when you're cutting these, because you're going to make 128 of these sections right here. Okay, 128 of them. Just pay attention. You're not always going to put the white in the bottom lower corner and the color in the upper right corner. Sometimes you need to put the white in the bottom right corner and the color in the upper left corner. FYI. So don't go to town making a whole bunch of these. Use your design boards, lay your block out, fold your squares in triangles. If you've already cut it, fold your squares into triangles and lay them out so that they look right and you get it right. Okay. Because I made the mistake of making 4 of these and I ended up having to take them apart. That's what I was working on Friday morning with y'all. So let's see. What is this? You're new to embroidery, Brenda. Welcome to the journey, my friend. You're eager to learn. Does Customizer 10K for a Janome memory craft do the same thing as Embrilliance? Let me give you my 2 cents on that. Whenever you buy a brand new embroidery machine, the dealer will, it doesn't matter what brand, Brother, Baby Lock, Janome, Pfaff, Singer, Husqvarna, it does not matter. The dealer is going to say, here is the software that goes with this machine. Okay. And like Brother will do it with they call it a +1, and you can get PE design, which if you pay cash for it, it's $1,100 or $1,200, depending on where you get it or more. All embroidery, all high-end embroidery software, no matter the brand, works the same. They all make fills. They all make columns. They all have fonts. They all do the same thing. They all do the same, the Vernia, it all does the exact same thing. All embroidery software does the exact same thing. Just because the thing is, some embroidery software, you have to pay for updates. They come out with a new one. I have a friend of mine who's into Vernia for a lot of money. But they all do the same thing. So I would say 90% of the people who buy an embroidery machine and get the software with it that the dealer recommended, it may come free with it. There's that. It may be a +1, or you can get the software, or you can get a hoop. Get the hoop and buy Embrilliance. Okay. So this is just me, you guys. I just, digitizing is digitizing. What you're paying for in that very high-end embroidery software is the ability to digitize. And like I said, I'm never going to be a digitizer. The only digitizing I do is the Snapplique part of it, where I create a vector graphic and turn it into an embroidery design. That's it. But I'm taking a pre-created picture design and creating that into a design. I don't have the ability to create a picture. We took a picture and turned it into, like a JPEG picture, and turned it into an embroidery design in that Stitch Artist class. And that's great. That's not my jam. I won't do that. 90% of the people who buy embroidery machines will grab a Kimba Braille CD, or their download Juju, or they will Sweet Pea, Anita Good Design, OESD, all of those high-end companies, go to Etsy, whatever. I don't like to get stuff off of Etsy. That's just me. But embroidery library, whatever. They will get designs that have been created by somebody else and stitch it out on a project. So you don't need that digitizing software, the digitizing piece of it. If you want to pull it into your software and take a look at it and analyze it and see what steps are going to happen when, that's fine. But you can use Essentials for that, Embrilliance Essentials, and that's $139, right? You don't need a $1,200 software program to do that. So Janome used to have the Artista. Y'all, I could not figure that software out. It's fantastic software, I'm sure. I couldn't work it out. This head couldn't do it. So that's exactly right. This is good, Linda. Whoever told you that was absolutely right. I was told once the best one is the one you can work with. And you guys, I can work with Embrilliance. I'm familiar with the platform. I like it. It does what I need. It's very simple, easy to use. And there's a ton of education for it for free out on YouTube. That's another thing. If you are thinking about getting digitizing software, and I'll tell you, my brother dealer sells Embrilliance, but they don't tell you that because they're not going to make any money on Embrilliance. There's no money in it for them. It's a business decision for them, you guys. I'm not in favor with dealers when I share that little trick with you guys, that little tip. But some people, if you love your Vernia software, that's fabulous. You got it down. The lady who has spent all the money on it, she's got it down. She loves it, and she can digitize this and that, and she does. That's great. And even those pieces of software, you won't see the pros using those. They're using Hatch, they're using Wilcom, something like that, okay? Because it talks in a whole different language than home embroidery software. So I have always been on the thrifty side of purchasing anything. So for embroidery software, I looked for cheap. And come to find out, it's not cheap in quality, it's just inexpensive. But the quality that you get with Embrilliance is fantastic. It stitches out beautifully. So Mbird is another great software. Once you get it, it's great. So does that answer your question? I hope that answers your question. So if your dealer is trying to get you to buy software, if you're considering a machine and they want to, here's the software that goes with it and it's another $1,200, I would tell them thanks, but no thanks, and go get Embrilliance. And I don't work for Embrilliance, you guys. I am an affiliate for them, but I don't work for them. Okay. I'm just telling you my experience. I've played with this other software. I played with Artista and I've never had PE design. But I played with Artista. I've used BES and Simply Applique, again, only to do the snap applique process, and that's it. Wilcom is another one. Yeah, Wilcom is another one the pros use. So they're not using home embroidery software. And I would venture to guess that most of the people who got really high-end embroidery software aren't using it anymore since they bought their machine. Either they couldn't figure it out or they've already done 2 installs on computer that failed and they've reached their license limit. Some of them make you pay monthly. Some of them make you pay for updates. You don't have that with Embrilliance. 1 install and you're done, and you can put it on as many machines as you want. So, does Stitch Artist work on Windows 11? Yes, it works on Windows and a Mac. So that's another thing. Embrilliance works on both platforms. I have it on my MacBook right here, and I have it on my thing over there. So, and you guys that share your Embrilliance serial number with your friend on the opposite coast, shame on you. Embrilliance can see that. They can see that it's coming up here in this town and it's coming up alive over here in this town. So FYI, okay. So What Pro is good. Yeah, So What Pro is good. But, tomorrow's Frito Fest. Please dress accordingly. Yes, Dave. Tomorrow is Frito's Forever Home Day birthday. She's going to have a bandana. The hat was a no-go. So not happening. She's not that kind of girl. But yeah, y'all, I did when I bought my Quattro, the ad in Etsy, the lady who used it had passed away. The ad in Etsy said it comes with the software. I opened that software box and there was nothing in it. I was still getting a deal, heck of a deal on the machine. But the software's installed on the computer. It doesn't have anything to do with the machine. I opened that box and there was nothing there. So I got some more money off of it. So I got PE Design has an activation of 2, right? And if the original user used it, both the installs, you can't use it again. So they can't sell you the software. That's the thing about software. Y'all got to be really, really careful about that. Be very careful buying used software. Odds are you may not be able to use it unless it's never been installed. You're not going to be able to use it. That's done on purpose. Okay. Hey, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be back here for block 15 on the Brightly sampler. We're going to do another set of the mosaic squares. And that'll be the last starting next week, block 15, we got 20 blocks. We're gonna finish up the last of all of the blocks starting next week. To do Snapplique, what parts of Embrilliance do you need? Lucy, you need Stitch Artist. You can use Stitch Artist 2. You can do it in Stitch Artist 2. 3 is recommended. And then you need Essentials. Just those 2. You need either Stitch Artist 2 or 3. If you can swing 3 for the price, get 3 and get Essentials. You're going to need that because the Reveal Hidden Stitches button, the scissor button, is part of Essentials. And that's you really need that. So, yeah. And John is right. What I truly love about Embrilliance is that it's cheap, fantastic, and most of the instruction is absolutely amazing. Most. And there are in-person and tons of YouTube classes. That is the biggest thing. The biggest hindrance to embroidery software is knowing how to use it. So before you buy anything, search YouTube videos for the software you're considering and see how much comes up. In Brilliance, you'll have pages and pages and pages and pages of videos. Other ones, not so much. If you can glean how to work it out of a couple of videos, then good for you. But if not, yeah. John Rahm, she says, that's from someone coming with 3 different pieces of software trying to figure it out. And yeah, well, you don't have software on your machine. You have software on your computer. The software doesn't install on your machine. But right, I get it. You're absolutely right. So also, we were talking about the cross stitch video. I could not find it on YouTube. It is not on YouTube. It is on the cross stitch of how to do cross stitch in Embrilliance. It's not on YouTube. It's on Facebook. And Facebook is going to delete videos older than 30 days starting in June. So that video is going to go away. So if you can watch it, I linked to it below a comment. Someone left a comment below the video saying, I can't find that video. And I couldn't either. I looked everywhere. It's on Facebook. So you can probably click the link under that comment and go watch it. But yeah, it's not on YouTube. Yeah. LC says, what? All videos. So Facebook videos, Facebook's not making any money on people who upload videos to Facebook. Okay. Even if you're okay, they're not making any money on that. That's not a monetized thing. Well, they might be, but a lot of people upload personal videos to Facebook. They're all going to go away. They're only going to stay on your channel, on your thing for 30 days. And then they take up way too much space. YouTube, if you've got personal videos that are not public and not monetized, brace yourself. They might go away as well. There's just nothing to it for them to host your private videos. They're not making any money on you. So Barb says she doesn't even use PE Design or Floriani software at all. She loves Brilliance. Y'all, those are great pieces of software. If you get it with your machine, I recommend you dive into videos on those and see how to use them. Okay, definitely. So if you save a Facebook video to your laptop, when Facebook takes it down, do you still have the video? Yes. Yes. I don't know how to download a Facebook video. I have YouTube Premium so I can download YouTube videos, but I was trying to download that video on Cross Stitch and I couldn't figure it out. I would have to screen record the entire video. I'd have to use my screen recorder. So Windows and Mac both have screen recording apps, software. Pop it in, but it's going to take up a big old chunk of your memory because it's 26 minutes long. Yeah. Thumbs up, everybody. We just sit here and yakety yak today. All right. I've got another video at 9. Come on back. We're going to do another block of the use your phone to record it from your computer. Debbie, yeah, you can give that a try. Or watch it a couple of times, get savvy with it, and then you don't need to watch it again, right? Practice, practice, practice. So, I meant to show the pictures. Let me do that and see. I meant to show pictures from you guys. Let me look at the window and see, do I have it open here where you guys could see the pictures? No, it would have to be in my Facebook. No, that's all of us at the river walk on the bridge. That was really very cool. Let's see if I can make it bigger. So there's Bonnie, her husband, Ron. There's me, Keith. There's Michelle and Matt and Laura. So we all RV together. So that's a lot of fun for that. But I wanted to share the pictures with you guys. And Debbie, I did download them. Let me open up on Finder and get the images going and see what I can do with that. I'm trying to get it to do the next slide and I can't. Let me just pull up a classroom image and show y'all what it looks like. And so you can see, let me see that here. That's eating on the Riverwalk, the bridge picture again. I thought I downloaded all of those. Oh, let me do this, y'all. This is hilarious. This is just hilarious. Okay. So the picture was it was just a classroom with a bunch of people sitting around, but I got to show y'all. Let me come back here, get on this, share my screen. Too fun. I wanted to get I can't find it. There it is. All right. So Debbie White, this is her right here being goofy. And let's see. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, so Debbie, Laura, Michelle, Diane. Diane's been watching a long time. This is another Debbie, Cher, Becky, Bonnie, and Ann. So we went down on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. As you can tell, we had beautiful, beautiful weather. A lot of fun with that. So that was very cool. All right. All right, you guys, thank you for spending your time with me. I hope you got some stitching done while you were watching. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe so we can spend more time together. And I will see those of you on the Brightly Sampler at 9 o'clock Central. And the rest of y'all, I will see you tomorrow morning. You guys go sew something. Bye.